Okay, pool fans, fanatics, collectors, players, and all of the above. Here's one that definitely belongs in any collection. If you are into playing, collecting, trading, you definitely should have one of these. This cue was sold, and the gentleman that was buying it was not able to fulfill his obligation, so it's available. I definitely don't expect it to last very long. This is the Gary Langley and Keith McCready Nightmare Cue. This is number 11. Number 11 out of only 12 that have been made. Period. Now there's going to be a total of 25 of these. I anticipate that they're going to be extremely collective, of course, as they are signed by Keith McCready. In the forearm, there's Gary's signature right there, Gary Langley. For any of you that don't know, Gary is what I call a boutique cue maker. He's a specialty cue maker. Gary's been making cues for quite a long time. He's from Indiana. Does much of the work by hand with the use of very little machinery. Does use some CNC for the inlays, and he does a lot of stuff by hand, and he does excellent work. His cues are known for their superior playability, so this is not a wallflower. You may want to collect it, but this cue was made and designed to be dangerous on the table. In fact, it's made to Keith McCready's exact specs. So you get a beautiful picture of Keith McCready that is also autographed. Color of money. Keith, obviously being one of our favorite iconic characters, playing the role of Grady Seasons in all of our favorite pool movie, The Color of Money from the 1980s. Keith has never put his signature or endorsed a cue like he has with this one. There's going to be a total, again, of only 25 of these made, and every 4 or 5 of them has a different design. So really you're getting 1 out of like 4, I believe, or 5 at the most. I believe it's 1 out of 4. But this one has the diamonds. The original few that came out had kind of a swirl at the bottom. What a beautiful design. It also has an image of Keith from the movie The Color of Money right there on the butt cap. Now Keith was very strict in the design of this. He didn't want a cue that just looks good. Now any Langley cue is always going to look good, but he wanted one that played to his specs. Keith mandated that each of these must be forward weighted. Keith says a cue does not have guts unless it's forward weighted. Now with Keith being one of the best ball makers and all-around players in the history of the game, I would say that he definitely knows how a cue is supposed to hit. Nice medium-sized butt, not too thin, not too thick. Great leather wrap on that. But one of the other things that Keith mandated in the construction process is that he wanted one of the shafts to be a ½ inch longer. So he's very strict about the forward weight of his cues. Keith won't even touch a cue unless it's forward weighted. And he also had Gary to make one of the shafts 29.5. That way if you're on a big table, you need that extra length. Keith also said he likes to use the longer shaft on a bar table. So one shaft is standard 29-inch, one is 29.5. It comes with a letter of authenticity. This is the number 11 Keith McCready Nightmare Cue. Of course, if you've seen the movie a million times like we all have, you know about Keith's famous line. It's like a nightmare, isn't it? It keeps getting worse and worse. Well, this one keeps getting better and better the more that I look at it. So you've got beautiful sets of white diamonds, non-natural material, by the way. It's all non-natural material, so for our overseas customers, we can ship this anywhere in the world. Beautiful ring work at all positions. You can see that. Nice sharp points. So black ebony points going into the maple forearm. 3/8 modified. Gary loves that shaft connection on the 3/8 modified, and I will agree with him. That is one of my all-time favorite pins. Of course, I like the big pins. Wood to wood joint connection. Gary always puts that special touch on there. pays attention to detail. You can see the Langley name right there. Give you a better view. There's the Langley name. It's kind of blurry with the camera. Right there. There it is right there. We are honored to call Gary our friend, and we are honored at Crossroad Cues here to be the only official dealer of these cues. Keith is our great friend as well too, and these are not something that's going to be easy to get, and if you get one, I would hang on to it. Look at the spears on in the points right there. The way that Gary and Keith designed that, it's like the head of an arrow that's pointed at your target, which in this case would be the cue ball. So you've got Keith's signature in the forearm. You've got the image of him at the bottom of the cue. You get this beautiful signed picture. I've got one myself. I own the number 7 cue, and I've got it framed here. And then, of course, that letter of authenticity. So there you go. Highly, 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 highly collectible and phenomenal player. Somebody may buy this, and you may decide to play with it every day, and you're going to love it. Gary's cues play jam up, straight up and down, 100% money back guarantee. If you're viewing this on Facebook or on YouTube, you can see pictures of this cue at crossroadcues.com. Crossroadcues.com. We thank you for taking a look. This is an opportunity for any collector to add something truly unique, made by and for one of the most iconic figures in the game of pool. Pool's on an upward tick right now, but Keith McCready has and always will be an iconic figure, and he stays involved in the game. He's always supportive to some of these younger players. He's always got positive things to say in all the groups, and there's only one Keith McCready, one of the greatest shot makers in all of the game. Now you can own a cue that plays to his specs. Thanks for taking a look. Crossroad Cues.